Tell us what happened to you.
Pilfer.
Oh.
ITC is an abbreviation for the term Instrumental Trans Communication. The practice involves communication with non-physical entities through electronic devices. ITC can involve the use of, but not limited to, audio recorders, televisions, radios, telephones, and other electronic devices, with the full intention of gaining meaningful data from the unseen in forms ranging from voices and images through to text and numbers. The term ITC was first coined by Dr. Sinkowski in the late 1970s. Dr. Sinkowski is a well-known researcher and investigator in the field of ITC research and experimentation. He has contributed much time and effort towards the understanding and working of ITC. Many are aware of EVP, electronic voice phenomena, which has even made appearances in Hollywood blockbusters and many paranormal TV programs. Other ITC techniques are less known to the general public, with some techniques also shunned by certain factions within paranormal research and investigation. Regardless of belief systems, the data speaks for itself, and no amount of classification by fancy terms such as pareidolia, confirmation bias, and false claims of operation can mask this. It would surprise you how many very able researchers have made claims of falsehood without even using the device for a period of time to gather all data necessary to make any such claims. It is understandable that some will have difficulty trying to wrap their brains around how ITC capture is possible. I mean, can consciousness really alter electronic devices to communicate with our physical reality? The answer is yes. It indeed is that simple, and it's provable too, something overlooked by some who prefer other modes of communication with the unseen. Let me introduce you to PAIR Labs, Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research, a program at Princeton University that studied parapsychology. PAIR employed electronic random event generators, REGs, to explore the ability of test subjects to use telekinesis to influence the random output distribution to produce higher numbers, lower numbers, and normal baselines. It was during this testing and experimentation that it was discovered that normal consciousness held by those in the physical world could cause changes in the random data of the number generators during times of high emotional states and world events. This was highly visible on the graphs just prior to 9/11 in New York, where the graph peaked before the first plane struck the tower. So not only did consciousness affect the generators, but it also did so in advance of the atrocity. Consciousness at a deeper level, the subconscious mind, has the ability to make order out of chaos and completely alter the probabilities of these electronic devices. So in effect, non-physical consciousness, spirit, can do the exact same, if not better due to the lack of limitations and social programming. Then we can look at anecdotal evidence. To me personally, I place a lot of higher importance in such than mainstream science. And we know that spirit communication can come in the form of electronics being affected. So this may be TVs turning on and off, light bulbs turning on and off, and radios turning up in volume. It is certainly not limited to this. So by practicing and experimenting with random sound generators, spirit apps, we provide a focal point for the spirit to manipulate our data in the form of sound. The same can be said for other means of ITC research too. What we use to communicate with spirit, or at least attempt communication and experimentation, are scanning noise generation apps and scanning radio waves via the Cultist box and various other devices in our toolkit. The applications, mostly Android, are usually sound bank operated, apart from Mark Cultist's ITC IP app that uses online radio snippets if scanned fast. So we're using closed loop of sound banks randomly selected at various speeds with no full words or phrases within. These are sound bits of around 150 milliseconds to 350 milliseconds. The higher the number, the more chance of words slipping through. Spirit could still use these, but it is preferable to use small files from an evidence point of view. My suggestion for suitable apps would be the SP Spirit Box app, VoxBox and EchoVox. These are sound bank operated and closed to the radio or outside interference for natural means. ITC IP Box by Mark Cultist will provide a scanning radio feature in app form, but you must have a Wi-Fi or 4G signal for best results. The favourites here of our organisation are the Cultist Box range, SB7 and 11, and Jonathan Garraway's Arduino range from the same developer house as Mark and Apidroid. These devices will scan the radio waves and bypass stations on fast sweeps. You will get radio bleed through, so you have to be more aware using this format. However, they do work and you will gain communication from the non-physical, as we have demonstrated on multiple locations. The father of such boxes, Frank Sumption, always said that the communicators in the non-physical will use the fragments of radio, static, and such to manipulate and communicate with us. We have bore witness to this. So the options are there, from free to high-end boxes, all very able to do what we wish, and an excellent tool for ITC research purposes. In future videos and articles, we wish to demonstrate how to use these scanning devices, the best settings we have found thus far, and how to thoroughly analyse your results so you can share it with all with an interest. No longer do you need to solely rely upon a medium. You can use your own intention and focus on communicating with the other side of reality. Results you can hear and know that are reliable.
Next question comes from Ryan. Ryan, over the past 10 years, has researched dozens of cases of apparitions, hauntings, and closely related phenomenon. Basically, he has caught on tape things, messages that seem like communications. And what he's asking is he really working with the spirits of deceased, or could the larger consciousness system just be nudging him with these messages?
Larger Consciousness System, LCS, means the collective awareness that we're all part of. Tom Campbell uses certain metaphors and descriptions to explain that we're all part of a greater whole. The whole is intelligent, some call it the spirit world, and it can cause synchronicities that are meaningful and nudge us to grow spiritually. So when I ask if it is the system that is communicating through the ITC research, I am trying to figure out if some of the messages may, in fact, be this whole providing data that allows myself, my team, and the viewers to grow through the information provided. In addition, we also know that our intentions can affect random generators, as mentioned before. So how much is embedded through intentions which is still unique but needs to be monitored. This is why sometimes you may hear words that you are thinking come through before you ask out. However, a caveat, it has long been suggested that the spirit world works on telepathic communication, and thus we think before we ask, and they answer before we ask out loud.
It's most likely, again, everything's in terms of probability here, it's most likely that the larger consciousness system is nudging him with these experiences. Remember, he is a piece of consciousness getting a data stream. He is an individuated unit of consciousness, well, a piece of one called a free will awareness unit. He's getting a data stream, and that data stream is defining the interaction of his avatar with the reality.
By data stream, Tom means the physical and non-physical data that is provided to me in this reality to my consciousness. If I alter my state of consciousness, say I have an out-of-body experience, I will access a different data stream. Likewise with dreaming, the data stream is different from the one provided by this reality we are in. The LCS source can provide us with additional data to nudge us and wake us up. Some call this intuition, gut feelings, or synchronicity. Thus, some of this can be provided by working with ITC data. We must separate spirit communication from personal messages by the source, or larger consciousness system we are part of. Avatar is our physical body we animate with our consciousness.
You see, we have this boundary between the non-physical and the physical and its interaction. How do non-physical things create physical things, and how do physical things interact non-physically? Well, there is some interaction between physical and non-physical. That's true, and there can be actually, things on his meter, and it could be the larger conscious system giving him information just for his own growth and experience, or it could be his own intent. He intends to measure something. He wants to measure something. And because he's holding an instrument that has fundamental uncertainty with it, a certain level of noise in the instrument, as all instruments do, he could be causing little signals to occur in the noise based on his intent. Or maybe the people he's with, all of them may have some kind of intent to measure something which could cause a little blip of signal just above the noise in an instrument that measures. So the sources could be coming from all sorts of things. Or there could be a consciousness someplace, some non-physical entity, if you will, that is using its intent to modify a little signal blip in an instrument that he's measuring, because the physical instrument has noise, it has uncertainty, therefore that uncertainty can be manipulated to create little false signals, or I shouldn't have false signals, they're real signals, to create little signals. All right, so there are multiple ways that he could be getting what he's getting. He could be producing them themselves, they could come from others, or it could be just the larger consciousness system giving him experiences to show him that reality is bigger than it seems.